Hello, I wanted to share with you this experience that I had with my husband. So we were hiking and we were talking about a circumstance that he had going on at work and the feelings that were coming up for him around it. And he was expressing, his frustration and angst about something, and he was making a comment about something. And I made the comment, "Oh, you're better than that." And he immediately was like, "Yeah, that's a good point." And it's nice when you have that person that you can bounce those things off of, and it doesn't always mean that you can hear it. Whoever that person is, sometimes you want to rail against it and fight it, and other times you're just more open to hearing what they have to say. So he was like, "Yeah," and then he was talking about, but it is going to feel good to confront the situation. And we have this joke, which isn't always a joke, about the file drawer that I've had in my head where it's like, the joke is sometimes, yeah, that's going in the file drawer. Something happens that's not great between us, and I'll be like, yeah, that one's going in the file drawer. Like, I'm going to pull that out later, and I'm going to use it when I most need to. So it sort of became this joke, but there is some truth to the idea of, the file drawer. I do. It's like I have a file drawer in my head, and when I have a list of offenses, and then when I need to use them, I'm going to bring one out and use it to make a point. And that's what I learned to do. That's what I learned to do throughout my life is, okay, I'll just wait. One of the biggest, I would say, upsets that I had often as a child was when someone was trying to correct me on behavior that they were displaying themselves. And it was this source of like great angst for me with I'm like, how can you possibly call me out on this when um, you don't rectify that. You're doing that behavior. I mean, nothing could get me to go from 0 to 60 in like faster than that. And the unfairness that I saw as a child. So as I've tapped through it, that's softened and started to shift. But so he was telling me this about, I'm going to look forward to confronting this. And I said, oh, I have to tell you this. But if you remember the time when I was doing this confronting with someone and then I came in and told you about it and your response was blah, 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 blah. And he stopped. He actually got pretty pissed. And he's like, God, like, what is that? Like, pull the file drawer out and there it is. And he said, Mart, that thing right there, I think that's something that clutters up your brain and clutters up your life and keeps certain abundance from you. And he was mad. Now, in the past, or depending on the day, I could have been like, which I've done, I've gotten defensive, I've gotten mad, I've done like, that's so unfair, but it was true. I literally could tell you, anyone that's watching this, the story, and I guarantee you, I could get you to agree with, yeah, that's not right. Like, wait, he's making that okay for himself, but it doesn't matter. That's the thing. It doesn't freaking matter because it's so true. When he said that, instead of getting defensive, I went, huh, wow, that's true. And I literally said, dude, you have no idea the gift that you just gave me. So I didn't go to the defense. It landed for me, and it was like a gift from the heavens or wherever you believe. And I was like, whoa, that's true. I could see it about myself and not get upset about it. And why I believe that's true is it's come through more and more work on the inner child and self-acceptance and loving that child in me, back to wholeness in a way, which will always be a work in progress. So I was able to see that in that moment and not get defensive and just say, that was such a gift, and even say, thanks for saying that. And I wasn't hung up or mad about that he got mad about it. It was like it didn't matter. It was just like, wow, the truth will set you free. And in that moment, I saw the freedom in that. So, do you have a file cabinet in your brain? And it might not be a file cabinet, but do you store memories of offenses, consciously or unconsciously? It's just something to consider that you're still triggered by them. You maybe haven't worked through. You didn't feel like you could. And what is in your file drawer? If you have one, and maybe it's a box, maybe it's something, and you may not, who knows? But if it's something that you notice that it gets pulled out later in some disagreement or argument, or somebody says something, it's just to notice that, to note that and go, wow, that's unresolved for me. And the ironic thing is, when I said that to him and he said that back to me, I literally was like, I don't need to resolve this. Meaning, I don't need to resolve what I believe or I've carried around is some time in my life when I was expressing something and he couldn't hear me about it. I can choose to keep hanging on to that, whether it's true or not, according to me. But in that moment, I literally was like, no, I can let this go because it's imprisoning me. And I am not saying this that anyone out there like, oh yeah, I hear that and I can just let it go. This was at a moment, it was like a level 3 moment where it's like, I don't even need to deal with this. I just know I don't want to keep hurting myself using my file drawer to do it. And when you get to that place, that's when you can hear something and realize I no longer have to put this list of offenses. I'm hurting myself doing this. And I want to set myself free. And again, that's a process. It's a practice. And some days we're better than that and others, and some days not so much. But when you can anchor those in, it's huge. So do you have a file drawer or whatever you want to call it? And are there a series of offenses that you're like, man, if that came up, if they did that thing, I'd want to go after it. And instead of that, can you think about, wow, this is stuff that I can tap on. This is stuff that I can realize and free myself from so that I'm freer. I don't have to hold myself hostage to what I believe is something that they did to me. So I just wanted to share that with you and say, if you found that helpful, just look into that and see what comes. And then you have a roadmap on what to tap on. So that's it. Bye for now and see you next time. Take good care.